And the first thing I'm going to say is my name is spelt wrong. Grainne is an old Irish name. It has a father, an accent on the A, which means lovely. You take the father off, it means ugly. So I stand here today, unlike Kyla, a beautiful woman, I'm being labeled an ugly woman. But I'm very used to it. And at least Nick didn't call me Grainne or Granny. Nick's shorthand is Anya Grainne. So Sue asked me if I could speak today for about 5 minutes, and I thought that's a bit funny because I've only been here 5 minutes. I came to Galway 2 years ago in 2023, second anniversary last month, and I moved from Sydney. And the question people ask me is, why? Why did you move to Galway? And the short answer is a long time ago in a cinema in Dublin, Ireland. I saw the movie Storm Boy, and the landscape of that movie, the culture that was in that movie was so new, so special to me. And I couldn't wait eventually to come halfway around the world to the Coorong. And when we did, we were doing a road trip around Australia, we were camping out in the Coorong, and it was a torridly hot day, one of those 40+ days. And myself, my husband, and another two tourists spent the whole day in the toilet block because it was the only place we could get shade. So eventually we saw the Coorong and the pelicans, but my overriding memory of that first visit is the toilet block. So why did we move to Goa? Well, I think it's the landscape. You look around, you see this very, very special place. It is such an extraordinary opportunity to have the sea, the lakes. It's the Clim, really, isn't it? It's the Coorong, the lakes, the river, and the ocean beaches. So that was really when we were coming over from New South Wales and looking at various places. We settled on Goa. My background is university, tertiary education. I worked at the University of Technology in two roles, in a teaching role in the communication degree, and as a professional communicator for one of the faculties. My husband worked at the University of Sydney. And so when COVID put voluntary retrenchments on the table, we thought, hey, this is the impetus to make this decision we've been talking about for so long. And that's how we ended up, coming to South Australia. We didn't want to swap one city for another, so we thought, well, we'll have a look around, and Goa is where we're at. So I'm a volunteer here at the centre and hopefully able to share some of my communication experience and skills. I'm working closely with Sue, and we've got some really, really successes on the board already, and plenty of challenges to go with communication. As a new person to Goa, I joined several community groups. There's a lot of community groups in Goa. So we have a lot of faith-based groups. We've got all the familiar names like Lions and Rotary, Zonta, View, etc. Coast Care and Land Care are very strong in the area. But there are two that are unique to Goa, and one of them I just want to tell you a little bit about. The first one is Armfield, which is a workshop just further up the river, and it is like a men's shed, I guess, where people restore wooden boats. Some of them are very old. They find, abandoned vessels and spend a lot of time restoring them. So they've got a lot of history and knowledge about how the river was used commercially in the past. And it's always worth having a visit. They actually do have the original boat from Storm Boy, which they restored, and it's sitting there in the water. So it would be really nice to get out on the water with that one day, but I think you have to ask very, very nicely. So the other community group that is unique to Goa is an organisation called Chittislow. Goa is a Chittislow town, and Chittislow is an Italian movement which accredits towns in various places. It's a very rigorous accreditation process, and Goa approached Chittislow back in 2005, 2006 at the height of the Millennium Drought. The town needed ways to revitalize itself. It's hard for us now looking outside to imagine that there was no water flowing in this river. I'm told that just over here, where there were two channel markers, there's a large sandbank, which was completely visible, covered in reeds, etc. People used to walk the dogs out there, walk them along the riverbank. So the town was devastated, as many were. One of the solutions was this partnership with Chittislow. And Chittislow has a number of principles, but one of them is protection of the natural environment. And it works very closely with council, Alexandrina Council in this case, to bring it. It doesn't have a seat at the table, but it has a voice in the room, I suppose is how you would say. And Chittislow is very active in taking community issues to council and being heard. And there is a group of Chittislow people coming to Clym next month. They're very active in the community in a number of ways. So you can look it up if you're interested, but you'll see there's some banners around town saying it's a Chittislow town. So it's very committed to the local environment. And at the moment, some of the issues that are affecting the environment are water, obviously, but also housing development. There are a lot of submissions to the council from Chittislow and other community groups about how this town would look in 10 or 15 years' time. So the reason I mention Chittislow is considered an active community, an active public, and this is where I'm going to throw just a little bit of academic theory at you. I was going to put a slide up, but I thought that might be overkill. In communication planning and campaign planning, there is a theory called situational theory of publics, and it's how publics respond to an issue. And it's active publics like Chittislow are organizations that seek out a lot of information. So they're looking for knowledge that will help them to then do something. They feel that they can respond, and they need the evidence to create whatever it is, whether it's petitioning or submissions. There are other types of public, aware publics, have knowledge, but are not really sure what they can do with it. And I think this is where CLLMM has a role in this community. It's providing knowledge for those organizations, for those communities, for those publics to actually actively do something. The active publics are there, they're doing what they do. Aware publics need to be shifted into this active role. And throughout December, January, we had 5 events here, the summer series of science, and they were so well attended by people who were looking for information and looking to make connections with each other. There were 2 panel discussions that brought together various organizations doing work in the Coorong area. And people really appreciated that opportunity to meet with and talk with and ask questions of those organizations. So I think in creating those fora for the community, CLLMM is enabling people to acquire more knowledge, to network, to make those relationships and be able to take control of the activities that they can do. I haven't got scientific analysis of the survey that we took of the respondents, but lots of people say they want to find ways of doing things. They want to volunteer either directly with the centre or with other organisations. So there may be capacity for those of you with research projects to have volunteers do some work here in Goa. And I think that is the main contribution that I see CLLMM making to the community, is to provide knowledge, and evidence-based knowledge. There's a lot of anecdotal knowledge about, and someone said to me last week, oh, we've already forgotten the millennial drought. If you talk to people about the drought, there is anecdotal evidence, there's photographic evidence of what happened, but memories can be quite unreliable. I think we can all agree. So it's useful to have evidence-based information for people to make decisions about their local environment, about the area that they live in, and that they feel is important to them. And I think that is, as Rebecca said, the other importance of CLLMM is that by basing itself here in Goa, it's saying to the community, we have your concerns at heart. We are interested in hearing from you, in responding to what is happening here, what has happened historically, what we can learn from that, and where we can go in the future. So there are 3 issues that are causing a bit of chatter on social, local social groups. And they're a very vibrant social media community. Obviously, dry winter, dry summer. People are starting to get concerned about water. There's a lot of people in this area who rely on tank water. I think the other major concern that's been raised has just come out of the, I think an anxiety. There's people are saying that there are a lot of dead birds around, and they want to know, you know, are there more dead birds? What is happening? I think there is people have an awareness. There's some knowledge that there is bird flu, but we haven't any evidence of it here in South Australia. We did a project last year here in the Coorong. They go to the supermarket, there's no eggs. So there's an anxiety brewing. And that's one of the, and it's there in the socials every week. So it is something that the community is seeking information about, seeking some clarification. And I think the other major issue is, are we heading towards another drought? That's starting to get some, traction on socials. When I came here 2 years ago, it was after floods. I couldn't imagine what the drought was like. The beaches were ankle deep in dead carp. It was a completely different environment. So in 2 years, it's changed enormously. And it is concerning for those people who have memories of it, and for those people who are moving into the area. And there are a lot of people moving in. Housing development is a major local issue. What is this? What is their environment going to look like for their children and for their futures? So I think CLIM is really important to the area in showing interest and concern and providing information for people to take some actions and to make relationships with other groups so that they can coalesce and have strength in those in numbers. So, thank you.